Good morning. I am back. I am Sim McDonough, IFBB Bikini Pro. I am back to recap the Taiwan Pro Show that happened that I previewed earlier this week. And as usual, the nonprofit shout out I'm doing is still the same one from yesterday, the Trevor Project. You deserve a welcoming and loving world. Yes, you do. Everyone does. So that is my nonprofit shout out for the week. Okay, so let's move on. So, who did we have our eye on when we did the preview for the show? Well, Yume was a frontrunner and she won. Congratulations. And I do worry this video will be redundant because I talked for a long time the other day. So if it's redundant, let me know. I'm gonna try to put a little spin on it, but I don't know if I'll be able to. Okay. So yeah, Yume won, and I didn't mention Charlotte Ellis in my top five. That was an oversight on my part. Looking at the pictures, I was like, oh duh, yeah, Charlotte obviously is gonna be in that top five. And yeah, the fight for there was no fight for first place really. It was a fight for second and third place, and it was really tight between Charlotte and Alum. And then Amanda came in fourth, and Wendy came in fifth. And then I didn't mention Payfin Lin, but she got sixth. And then Wendy, who I thought would be in the top, could be in the top five, got seventh. And at this show, she went by a different name. So this was her name at the show. I should have looked up how to pronounce it, but I didn't. Okay, so yeah, those were our top seven for the show. And let's get into them. Oh, this is Vixen. This is my dog. My friend Kelly gave me this shirt for my birthday, and it's my favorite shirt of all time. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, where to begin? Where to begin? Here's where we're gonna begin. We're gonna pull up the comparisons of the top four. So, here are our comparisons of the top four. This is where all the judging is done in the comparison round. Your individual definitely matters, and it's going to catch the judge's attention. Sandy has said that your individual is you initially come out in your groups just by last name usually, and then you're all compared against each other. Nobody gets moved around, and it's just like the judges first look at you, and then you come back and do your individual routine, and then that's when judges are like marking on their scorecard like, oh, I want to see this person in whichever call out, or however they do it. But that's like one of the judges said that that's how they do it, like what call out they would want to see them in. So that's where you like catch their attention. And then in the call outs, that's when you have to like really make sure your comparisons in your call outs, you have to make sure you're able to hold those poses and not move. Just look statuesque so it doesn't give the judges a reason to be negatively distracted. So here are our top four. We have Yume, Charlotte, Alum, and Amanda Lee. And let's focus in on Yume and Charlotte. Well, okay, first let's go over what we see. Yume just looks balanced from top to bottom. Her poses, I'll go over her photos, but like she was picturesque in each pose, like we talked about in our preview, how every pose she lands gives hourglass shape the whole time and looks very confident and poised. So yeah, I'm looking at Yume and nothing stands out, which is exactly what you want. I'm not thinking, oh, her shoulders look too developed, her glutes look too developed, oh, this part of her is impressive. I just look at her and the whole thing is impressive because she looks so balanced and put together and streamlined. Then I look over at Charlotte. Charlotte also looks great, but my eye goes more to Alum. So I think if I had been on that judging table, it was a 1 point difference between Alum and Charlotte, I would have gone with Alum for second place. Not saying Charlotte didn't deserve the placing. I'm just like trying to put myself in the judge's shoes and look at these photos objectively, and that's where my eye goes. It goes Yume and Alum, and I think they are pretty comparable. Alum is just a little more conditioned than Yume. You see some more detail on her than you do on Yume. But yeah, so that's like where my eye goes. Charlotte and then Amanda. So Charlotte, I'm noticing the first thing I notice is some stomach distension. Her waist is not looking as tight to me, which takes away from the overall hourglass shape. And also her shoulders are really opened up to me, and she looks softer in her conditioning on the lower body than she does on the top. So I'm seeing good shape, but Yume is like the clear winner for me. Same as how it reflected on the scorecards. So yeah, I think Alum had better hourglass shape and yeah, mainly just better hourglass shape and balance, and she has an aura that you want to look at. Like she looks very excited. So does Charlotte, but I'm just missing some things with Charlotte here. And then Amanda, it's that same thing with her foot that's making her look lower body dominant since she has her foot all the way to the side here. Then you see how that glute inserts, which is not the way you see it on the other competitors because they have that angle in their toe and that kind of like corkscrewing in their hips. So yeah, that's where Amanda is losing it for me, just looking bottom heavy because of the way her foot is positioned. Since she's so horizontal with that foot, then it gives me the entire profile of her leg, and I don't see the shapeliness to her leg. She has like some natural shape, but it's not on par with like the hourglass shape. Or like the leg shape that we typically see in the highest placing bikini pros. Um, and since her lat isn't like matching the distance of projection out that her glute is, then that makes her look even more lower body dominant to me because we're missing this chunk and she already has a shorter torso. So when I'm missing this big chunk here and the lower body is already overpowering, then that makes the lower body look even more overpowering to me. So yeah, that's what I see in this like final four comparison call out. And when I look at the back pose call out, let's see, well, it's the same call out, but when I look at the back poses, what do I notice? So here is Yume, and then we have Alum and Charlotte. So they were moving them around because they were trying to figure out who second place was. And Amanda has an incredible back pose. I think she has, if she were maybe a little tighter, I think she might have the best back pose in the show. What I think about this is it's that same thing I mentioned in my preview where Ariana Brothers was like soft in her conditioning all around, like front to back, top to bottom. But since she was still balanced in that her conditioning was balanced across her body and her shape itself is balanced, then she still was able to get fifth place over other people who also looked very good. So yeah, I think Amanda's back pose is excellent. I do want to see a little more tight, like projection in the shoulders here. It looks like we don't have that same conditioning between the delt and the tricep that I'd like to see. It looks kind of smooth transitioning into each other, but her lower glutes at least are so developed that she gets the really good shape and the right amount of conditioning in the lower body. So if she got tighter up here, then she might be a little too tight down here. I don't know. That's something that comes to mind. I just think she has one of the best back poses in the show. It's just a little soft compared to the people who placed above her. So when we look at Yume, Alum, and Charlotte, since it was so close, Yume, I think this is the perfect conditioning. We're seeing the right shape. We're seeing a little bit of hamstring development, but we're seeing that full muscle belly pop out. We aren't seeing like adductor and then cuts in her hamstring and then go to her quad. You see like that whole muscle belly popping out, which is what you want. Suit bottom, perfect. It's in that heart shape that we want to see. Her arms look relaxed. She's not like over posing, like sticking her elbows out. None of these girls are. So this is actually one of the best back pose shots I've seen in recent pro shows. Sometimes the elbows just do weird things that I want to be relaxed. But yeah, Yume, you can see each distinct muscle belly, but it's not too hard, and she has a lot of great projection. The complexion is perfect. The tan is even everywhere. She has a glow over all of her skin, and the photos at the show, we'll get into the individual photos, but I want to do this Taiwan show. The lighting is so beautiful. I was like looking at flights. I'm like, how much are flights when you fly at this time of year? Turns out pretty good at this time of year. Okay. So yeah, and then hair length is perfect. We'll go into people individually. So sorry, I keep saying that. Let's just go into what I see here. So Yume immediately stands out, number one. And then Alum and Charlotte are, I can see why it was tight because I'm not wowed by either back pose. And not because they aren't wow physiques, but just because nobody looks as streamlined as Yume, or really as streamlined in the back as Amanda. I think just Amanda needed tighter conditioning and improved posing to do better. Yeah, so Alum, And Charlotte. Charlotte, same thing with the bottoms. Her glutes are looking square because the bottoms are too small. Like we're seeing too much skin. I want a little more coverage on these bottoms. And Alum, same thing. Same thing, honestly. Like I have the same feedback for both of them on their bottoms. And Alum, since she has such long glute insertions, then it's like a lot of and there's something about Alum's glutes. I don't know if she just needs to be tighter here. But it looks like a little bit, not like lumpy, but like it looks like there's a little layer of body fat in this glute ham thigh area that I want to be tightened up. And that's something that I've been thinking about whenever I see her back poses, which I made a comparison of her last show to this show. But I'm just not seeing the tightness here. She definitely has like shape and development, but I need a little more tightness here because it kind of just like is blah going into the back of the leg. So there's something about that for me that is just not doing it. But as far as like her shoulders, they have great pop. I thought initially that she was pinching her shoulder blades a little bit, but I think she just has a more narrow clavicle compared to the other people on stage and compared to her hip width. Like she has smaller shoulder insertions too compared to her glutes because her shoulders look a little bit out of proportion to her glutes to me because her glutes are so developed and she's a very petite person. So her shoulder muscles themselves are like small. And that's something that I've kind of said with Ashlyn Little before, where she has like a pretty compact, similar but different. She has more compact insertions in her upper body, so it looks more bordering on disjointed than like somebody whose muscle bellies are pretty similar throughout their entire body. Like Yume has shorter glute insertions and some smaller shoulder insertions. So there's like balance there within her own genetic makeup. But Alum, I'm thinking a similar thing to Ashlyn where she has shorter muscle insertions in her shoulders, which of course shoulders are just shorter muscle insertions in general, compared to her glutes, which are like abnormally long. Like she has very impressive long glute insertions, which is something that, a lot of people want because it's very impressive and stands out. Deraja Hill is always someone that comes to mind when I think of long glute insertions, and like Lacey Runland. And I'll pull them up just so you can know, so you can be in on what I'm talking about. So let's pull up Deraja. Let's pull up Deraja when she got fourth at the Olympia, which was in 2022. I love Deraja was like the first physique I saw that made me like fall in love with the bikini look. I love Deraja's look. And look how long these insertions are. They like go almost to her mid thigh. It is crazy. Okay, so that's it. That's it for Deraja. Okay. So that is what I'm noticing in these comparison photos. And another thing I'm noticing, Charlotte doesn't have as much glute development as Alum. So I think Alum has her there, but Charlotte's insertions and just like fullness everywhere are more balanced than Alum's in that way. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. There's just she does not have as much fullness in this upper outer glute as Alum does. And I'm thinking the same thing where we need more fullness to the rear delts because they kind of blend into the tricep, kind of like how I was saying Amanda's shoulders just go very gently into her triceps. So yeah, but Charlotte has great poise. The tan looks good. The hair looks really good. It's the perfect length. This is like what I always am thinking of when I say get your hair like a little bit shorter and have it cut into a taper. And Charlotte does taper her hair like this to make her waist look smaller, I imagine. I'm almost wondering, however, because Charlotte has like a more rectangular waist, I almost wonder if it'll look more like this, where the hair is all the same length instead of bold like this, if that would kind of obscure her waist so we aren't seeing the lack of tapering into a small waist here, because that's just a genetic thing she's going against, like having a little bit wider waist in the back compared to the people she's up against, like Alum and Yume. But like, yeah, so Alum has her hair kind of like rounded, which is what you want to do in most cases to give the illusion of more taper into your waist. So yeah, that's what I think here. My initial thoughts when I look at this are like 1, 2, in the back pose, it's really 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in the front pose, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, that's what I think there. And let's see what the scorecard was with Amanda. I don't remember looking at what her score was. Okay, so it was a 1 point between 3 and 4, and then Amanda had 12. Okay, yeah. So if okay, yeah. So that's a perfect fourth place score. My bad. That's a perfect fourth place score. Anyway, okay. Let's go into these physiques individually. So I made comparisons between each of these athletes' first and last shows. Oh, that's Wendy. Okay, so we'll start with let's start with Yume. Okay, so here is Yume last show to this show. So in my last video where I was doing the preview, I love when the little suit does that with the sparkle. Okay, in my last video when I was going over a preview, I said that you may need to take a little bit of time off to build more size, and that she didn't have much time between these shows. But I corrected myself, and I was like, "Oh wait, last time she competed was kind of a while ago." And so yeah, and what I mean by that is she needs more size to be like competitive at the Olympia, and I still do believe that. But I think it could be achieved before the Olympia, and I'm talking about to get like a top 15 placing. I think she has really great balance, and maybe could get a top 15 placing if she brought her glutes up. But actually, now that I'm looking at them, I don't know if that could be this year. I think she needs a fair amount more size on her glutes to get a top 15. But she has really incredible balance and stage presence, so maybe that could sneak her in. I don't know. It's gonna I'll obviously do like a prediction when the Olympia is closer. But yeah, what I'm seeing here is that she needs more size in her glutes. So what happened between this show and last show? She definitely put on size in her shoulders. I see more pop and roundness and fullness in these shoulders, and it doesn't look like it was just a peaking thing where she filled out properly. It looks like she genuinely put more size on, which how could you not when you're striving to get to the Olympia and then you like train hard to achieve that goal? Like obviously she put on more size. And then I am seeing more fullness in her glute and less detail in this leg. Some of that could just be the lighting at this show. This is a stark contrast in lighting. And you can see that little same divot there that you do here, which is a mark of conditioning. But I think she is a lot fuller at this show. Yeah, I like the red and I like the purple. She looks great in both. Hair and makeup look perfect. And yeah, she's definitely put on some more density since this last show. And then something else I'm noticing is in her back pose, same thing. You can see she's put on more shoulder. She's a less conditioned at this show than she was at this show, which I think worked well for her because it made her legs look overall a little bit fuller. But we need more upper outer glute to get that taper into the leg here. And she wasn't as hard in the hamstrings where you're getting like this deep cut. You see a little bit of it, but I think the lighting helped her here too, in addition to being a little bit softer. So congratulations, Yume. I'm so excited to see her go to the Olympia. And another thing she changed is her suit top. So her suit top here is a molded cup, and it's a bigger size. So it's giving her more balance between top and bottom because you have this like matching fullness on the top that you do to the new fullness she has on her glute. And you can also see more roundness in her glute here as opposed to here, which kind of like slants and then becomes round. I wonder if she is just not sitting into her hip as much, in addition to having more size on her glutes now. So yeah, regardless, congratulations, Yume. I'm very excited. Okay. And then in second place, who was second? Charlotte. Okay, I didn't make a comparison for Charlotte. So let's pull Charlotte up here. Okay, so individually, what went through my head when I was looking at the pictures? So the first thing I noticed was core control. We're losing. I don't know if maybe she just spilled over, like where she had too many carbs or too much water or fat or whatever it is, that made her stomach like project like this. But I'm not seeing any detail in her abs here. I'm seeing this little bit of like a bulge, which is honestly fucked up to say because obviously these girls are in incredible condition. But yeah, so that is something that I noticed throughout the entire time she was on stage. So if I just click through these pictures, she's tight in her obliques, but it's just very smooth here. You see a little indication of an ab up here, but yeah, she's just a little bit washed through the core. And same thing, it's just kind of spilling forward. And I would move that hand down to the hip for the same reason I always say. You don't want skin flowing into skin when you put it at the smallest part of your waist. Yeah, this is kind of reading as Romina to me, where Romina has been coming a little bit out of condition into the shows she does, where she looks like softer in this lower body, but the upper body looks pretty good. But yeah, Charlotte, I'm seeing an imbalance in conditioning here. She's tighter, showing more like vascularity and detail here, and we're kind of washed in the legs. I think her foot position is part of that. If she could like ankle her toe and kind of like corkscrew around into that hip, which I was just doing on this couch, but obviously you can't see, then I think that would give her more pop, but I think she just needs to be a little bit tighter. Um, Obviously she did great. She got second place, so this is like, not, uh, she obviously looked great, but those are the things I would want to see for her to get an Olympia qualification. Yeah, I'm just seeing some softness here. The tan is pretty, the glow is pretty, but yes, that's what I'm seeing. Also, the suit top is small, especially since she's so wide in this upper body. We need some more coverage up top because I'm seeing so much skin here and so much width that it is throwing off her proportion in the lower body. Kind of like how Yume had more coverage at this show than she did at her previous show. Charlotte needs some more coverage, and we'll look at some other pictures of her and see if she's had more suit coverage in the past. Okay, so yeah, I was just showing you the core. And then when we get to her back pose, I just don't really see any rear delt pop. I don't know if she's like tensed, so it's flattening them, but I want to see some rear delt pop, and I'm seeing a lot of detail in these triceps here, which wouldn't stand out if she had more rear delt pop. But since I don't really have rear delts to look at, my eye is drawn to where I see the most detail, which is the triceps. And okay, yeah, I will pull up another picture of her. I'll pull up her front and back pose from a different show because I should have made a comparison, but I did not. So here is the last show she did in 2024. That's not the one I'm going to compare because she was having the same issue there, which was the lower ab distension. Okay, so you can see that same lower abs. She's not fully posed, but she has that in all her poses. This is the same show last year, Taiwan, where she had the best core control that I have seen on her. So here is Charlotte at her last show. Last time she got, second place. And let's pull up her back pose for it. Sorry, does it annoy you guys when I pull these up while we are on here? I'm kind of able to study better if I'm able to see all of these pictures because we can especially some of these shows where there's a million pictures, you're able to see what people were doing as they transitioned around in their posing, which is beneficial to know if that helped them or hurt them. Okay, so yeah, Charlotte's conditioning was just off, but she still got second place, so that's a very good sign. Yeah, just softer in the leg here, better shape in this photo, and this is the best that her waist has ever looked. It looked extremely tight. She had the detail in the abs, which kind of lends to my theory that she just did not peak properly or is needed to get leaner because we're not seeing. You don't want to see crazy abs, but you want to see a hint of detail. That way it shows you that it matches the conditioning in the rest of her body and that she's not out of shape anywhere. As if any of these people are out of shape. But yeah, better hourglass shape in this photo compared to this show. You can see that the structure is there, but the conditioning is not quite there. And then when we look at her back pose between this show and when she got second place last year at the same show, this is the kind of conditioning I want to see on her glutes. I suspect she did not get more conditioning either because something went wrong or because she wanted to have more fullness in her glutes, so she sacrificed some of the shape. But her glutes are just sloping off here because she's not conditioned enough and because she needs to build her upper outer glute here. But you can see, at least when she was this conditioned, that she had the right shape and balance and muscularity on her glute, but even though she still needed to build this area, but yeah, it's just sloping off and just looks like she needs to be more conditioned. And the shape of the bottoms looked better here, probably because her conditioning was better here. So yeah, this is my favorite Charlotte look. Okay, and let's look at her suit top of that show, which I said we would do. Okay, this suit top, this is much better. This covers the right amount of her chest. I know her physique looks different now, but this is the right coverage for her upper body, so I'd want to see that again. Okay, And then moving on from Charlotte, let's look at Yume. We already went over. Okay, so now we're back to doing alum. Let's do alum. Okay, so here's alum at this show versus her last show where she got third at the Natural Monsters M show. So yeah, I think she made some major improvements. This show was in November or December, I think. I recapped it when it happened, but a couple things that I noticed here, and we see the same thing happen with Amanda Lee, who we'll go over next. But she has her arm really far out here, which might be to make her upper body look bigger. But what it's actually doing is we're losing her shoulder. Her shoulder looks smaller here than it did here, which takes away from her balance in her front pose. So she looks like under-muscled here, which maybe she is. She probably does need to put on another layer of size all over. But if that's the case, you definitely don't want to do a pose that will make you look less muscular than you are. So her arm being this far out and like up almost has diminished her shoulder. So we see like a very little amount of like that pop to her shoulder compared to here, where her arm is a little bit straighter. Her bicep isn't overtaking her shoulder, which it is here. So she has better balance from top to bottom in hourglass shape. Another thing is that hand, same thing. I want her to bring that down to her hip because she's cutting off the smallest part of her waist. And she is another person who I want to see a little more detail in this core. Her hand is covering it, but it doesn't look like she has that much detail in her core aside from just right up here where it tucks into her ribs. So I'd like to see like a hint of detail. Paul Ravella always said that when he was coaching Ariana Brothers, that at like Pittsburgh or something, he ran into Jennifer Dory and Jennifer was like, "What's Ari's feedback?" And then he said needed more like definition in the core. And then Jennifer was like, I got the same feedback and I used to do a short ab circuit every time I train. And then that like she never got that feedback again. So it seems like similar thing could be implemented for alum here. I love this suit color. I said that I wasn't a fan of this one. This suit color is perfect on her. I'm obsessed. And it looks great with the lighting and the backdrop of this show. And the makeup is much better here. It is more cohesive with the rest of her skin. It was a little bit washed out here. And that could be like that there was SPF in the foundation too. Or that like her setting powder had SPF or something in it, which gives you flashback in photos. It makes you appear like white in your face, even if your foundation is the right color. I also thought that this top made her her it's inappropriate to say boobs look saggy, but this suit top definitely took away from that and now looks very streamlined and polished. So that's perfect. And you get the little sparkle. The other thing is she already has kind of a long torso, so I want her suit bottoms to be pulled up in the front and down in the back, and that would give her better heart shape to the glutes here and might enhance her overall like shape that I was talking about with not being as lean in the tie-ins. So yeah, I'd like to see that happen. Hair is better than the last show, even though the last show was already pretty good. And yeah, the main thing is that this arm should come down closer, and maybe she doesn't need to angle its toe as severely forward. Yeah, I think there's just a little bit of an imbalance in muscularity, so she needs some more on her upper body. And then this is what I was talking about with her glutes. I don't want to say lumpy, but like there's something up here that she just needs to be tighter. I don't know if she needs to maybe develop her hamstrings more to get this to flow better, but there's something going on that I think is hurting her. It just doesn't look as smooth as like the top people. And yeah, same thing here. She just needs to be a little bit tighter here, more in line with like how tight she was here. And yeah, that's what I think. It also looks like she might be pinching her shoulder blades compared to this photo, even though I do believe she just has like a more narrow upper body. But maybe she doesn't because it looks wider in this front pose. So I think she is pinching her shoulder blades. And with how popped her rear delts are, that does lead me to believe even further that maybe she's pinching them. So yeah, that's what I think about alum. I'd really love to see her win like a natural show. I was gonna say at least natural show, but that's rude. I would love to see her win a natural show and come to the Ben Weider here in, is it Pittsburgh? Yeah, that's what I would like. Because I really like her look. I really like her stage presence. So that's what I think there. Okay, going into fourth place, we have Amanda Lee. So here's Amanda Lee. I honestly did not really see much of a difference. So, one thing she changed that I am so happy she did is she stood up taller. So, here she's leaned forward, which makes her look even more lower body dominant because we lose that shape in the upper body. So, she's standing up taller, perfect. Now, I would like to, and you can tell because her shoulder is more in line with her glute here than it is here. And also because her waist is not tilting forward or it's tilting forward here and it's not tilting forward here. And when you're tilted forward like this, it pushes the hips back further, making the glutes look even more, making her look more lower body dominant. Um, she does look more conditioned. She's tighter in this arm here, but at the same time, her arm is closer to her body. So she did like the reverse of what Alum did at her last show. Her arm was too far out. For Alum, her arm was too far out at this show. So she corrected that, and you can see instantly she has better shape to her shoulder, tapering into her arm because everything is in line and like in good posture with each other. If that even makes sense. And yeah, I want her to adjust her foot. That's the next thing I want her to do. And I think that could like get her up in placing, at least by like a couple places. Because her conditioning looks balanced from top to bottom. Her back pose did not look that much different to me. She is a little bit tighter, but it's still just a really good back pose. And I want to see more. Yeah, just tighter here. Tighter overall, I think would help her. Okay. And then our final person is Wendy. Is this Wendy Chu, I think? Let's see. Oh, no. Okay. Wendy Say. So here's Wendy. What I was saying about her is that her glute flows directly into her hamstring. We don't get that much differentiation. When I saw her poses from this show, I didn't even realize that that was her because something I should have said maybe I did say this. I want her to angle her hips away. And she did that at this show. And you can see immediately gets that like glute pop and like teardrop into the hamstring. And we see the roundness in the hamstring. So this is excellent. That's exactly the kind of change she needed to make. Now for her, what she needs is the tan looks a little bit muddy. And nobody else is in the top 4 that we just looked at looked muddy like this. So something went on with the tan. Maybe it was a skin prepping issue. There is like a list of skin prep stuff you need to do before a show, which I'm sure she did, but something just went wrong. And it could have been like going wrong with the tan itself, not even like her fault. I want her to drop this hand down for the same reasons I talked about with other athletes. And yeah, the way she's angled has now given her better like taper into the waist, a more extreme proportion than she had here. This almost looks like amateurish, and this looks like how a pro would pose. So this is perfect. Another thing is going into her back pose. She is very muscular. Of course, she needs like more size in her upper glute here, but beyond that, she's very muscular. So I think that the curly hair helps her out. I think either she needs more fullness to her hair with like more extensions to do straight hair, or she needs to do curls to like and brush through them, but more curls to soften up. So the volume of the curls could diminish how much size she has, because she does look like she's like she's bursting like through her skin in these photos. Like she really nailed the pop that they need. But she is looking almost so full that we need something to balance her out. This straight hair, since it's just like flat, makes her look even more muscular, which of course you want to be muscular in a bodybuilding show. But if she had more like wave to her hair, then that would make her look a little bit more soft in the ways that you want. So it could just streamline her physique better. And then her glutes. She definitely put on size to her upper outer glutes here. She could also just be arching her low back more. It looks like her low back is a little more flexed than it was here, but then again, that tie is kind of obscuring where we would see the most of that like tightness. But she definitely put on some glutes. She just needs a little bit more because we don't want to see this adductor popping through so hard. And you can also see like the conditioning. You can see these like almost like feathering. It's not a big deal through the calves, but you can tell that it's like almost grainy in this conditioning in her hamstring here, and she's so tight in the lower glute going into her adductors. So yeah, long term, just more size for her. I like both of the suits. The purple suit was cool on her. And we need more of that shape to the suit bottom like we talked about with Charlotte. So I think that's everything. What are the next shows that we're gonna go over? Okay, the next show, let's look at the pro schedule. The list will come out tomorrow. So this is how you get to the pro schedule, ifbbpro.com, and then go to schedule, click on bikini, and we have next week, we have, oh, the Charlotte Pro. Okay, Jordan Brannon, Ariana Brothers, they've confirmed that they're doing it. So I'm excited to see who else is going to do that show. So we have the Charlotte next weekend, and that's it. And then the weekend after that, we have a UK show, China show, and yeah, so that's what we have next week or in 2 weeks. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and if you have any comments. And thank you everyone for watching my videos. Check out the Trevor Project and have a great day.